In this video we're going to be showing you two very different sides to Hungary. In the first half we're going to be taking you to Budapest, which is the capital city, where we'll be taking in all the sights and doing a bit of exploring. In the second half we're going to be taking you to Hortobagy National Park, which is really rural, really beautiful place. It's in the plains of Hungary and we're going to be staying with a local horseman and his family. So sit back and enjoy.
Good morning, we've just arrived in Budapest. We're not normally city people, but we thought we'd make an exception for this one because Budapest is known mainly for three things, and that is thermal springs, markets and the Danube, all of which we love. So we're going to go meet a couple of Hungarian friends who are offering to take us on a real Hungarian zero waste market experience. Let's go. Oh,
Look how many notices it's got.
oh my god. It's been there a while.
Hello. Hi. Hi, Dora, nice to meet you.
Oh, the garlic
That's
is
the
nice.
garlic. Yeah, that's the garlic.
What are these called?
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce the Hungarian words because we have 42 letters in our alphabet.
Yeah, we've been struggling a bit, haven't we?
Yeah.
This one.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So this is langush and it's a traditional breakfast to start the day.
It's not healthy. It's full of fat
Excellent.
and flour and
It's the Hungarian junk
yeah,
food.
it's a junk food.
But I love
Probably healthier than going to know.
it. When you drunk and eat this one, clean.
Stomachs filled, we headed into the market in search of some bargains. For us, who usually shopped in supermarkets, we imagined that zero waste shopping simply meant bringing your own bag. But it was clear to see from Dora and Edvárd that it went so much deeper than that, not only bringing their own jars and containers, but also choosing to buy from only the local sellers to reduce the emissions their food creates, and really getting to know the growers and their produce so they would know exactly where their food came from. We felt inspired.
Yellow, purple and white.
The purple on the inside? Just on the other side.
Belül nem lila teljesen. Igen? Dehogy nincs, meg is
Wow.
maradt fő.
Oh yeah, let's try a purple one.
Yeah, it's purple inside.
Cool, that sounds nice.
See?
We need another.
Oh wow! I've never seen this.
No?
No.
Really? So you should try it.
Yeah, we will.
You can try it.
Cool.
It's okay, no pesticides or anything.
Very good.
Apples are really good here if you want to have apples, and they're all different kinds.
Okay.
You can have, one of each.
Taste and texture.
Yeah.
This one is sour, these two are sweet, and this one is Edward's favorite.
Yeah, it's sour and very juicy.
Special kind. That's what he suggested.
Would you like the special apples?
Should we try the special apple?
We should try the special apples then.
You can try them.
Okay? Wow. Azaz. Akkor csak kell zacskó.
Annyi elég lesz.
60 for one
Egy erősebbet is adok.
and this one is super spicy.
Yeah.
Ez így jó?
Jó?
Jó? It's good?
Akkor-
It's okay?
Yeah.
Ötszer. Köszönöm szépen.
Köszönöm.
Köszönjük. This will be really nice.
Viszlát, minden jó.
Csak ilyen nagy pláza, ugye?
Igen,
Plázák.
Tesco meg ilyen.
Aha, nekem már tévében,
Ja,
filmekben
úgyhogy
ugye látni, hogy...
nekik ez újdonság.
Ó, nagyon örülünk, oké.
She's really happy that you're here.
Minden jó, goodbye.
Köszönöm.
This is poppy seeds with cherry. This is apple. And this is with cabbage.
Wow.
And what's the stripy one?
This one, the one that we like, is it's with honey. It's a little bit like gingerbread with honey, something creamy.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That one is chocolate on the top
Yeah.
and layers of marmalade,
that's it.
grain nuts.
Oh, that's something to taste. That's a tradition for Christmas.
Okay. Should we try that one?
One of those?
Yeah, just one of those, please.
Egy mézest.
And none of the strudel?
Go on then. Okay, that one as
És
well.
akkor egy ilyen, még egy ilyet, egy ilyen.
But that one is with cottage cheese.
Yeah,
You want to try?
just for me.
99.
Well, then again, I'll
990.
Köszönjük. That one is very sweet, but
Yeah, but well, these are
I have a...
sweets.
Yeah, I don't. Azt hittem nálam van a bicska.
Oh man.
Is that the marmalade one?
Yeah.
It tastes like quality streets, you know?
Christmas
Just
cake.
like. Oh,
Not better?
You like it?
no, way better, way better.
Can you tell her cake is very delicious?
Nagyon finom, azt mondják.
It's our first Hungarian cake.
Ez az első magyar süteményünk.
Very nice.
You should come again.
Ah, we will. Köszönöm.
Köszönjük szépen.
We stumbled across a market stall that was pressing its own fresh apples into juice to sell. It was interesting to watch the process of the juice being made, and due to popular demand, they had now also started selling it in reusable glass bottles instead of just plastic bags.
Oh my god. It's incredible. Really good.
We'd had a great time chatting to the sellers and sampling traditional and locally grown produce at the Bosnyak Ter market, which felt like a real, authentic welcome into Budapest. The market has been running since 1911 in the Bosnyak Square, but the face of the market was now slowly changing to phase out plastic waste.
Okay, so see you guys. Have fun. Have fun in Hungary.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you ever come to Cornwall, you have a place to stay.
Oh, thank you.
We've just parked in Budapest to go and have a little look around. Managed to park in this tiny little spot behind me. Very, very tight.
woke up beside the Danube, a little way out of the city, where we spent hours basking in the unseasonably hot sun before retreating to the van to cook our market vegetables on the fire. So here's all of the lovely local Hungarian veg we got from the market, including some purple sweet potatoes, a kohlrabi, some freshly pressed apple juice. We also got some pickled garlic and cabbage and various other pickled things, and some cake, which unfortunately didn't make it back to the van. But all of that came to about 5,000 forints, which equals about £12.50, so not bad. Rather than cooking to a set recipe, we decided instead to come up with our own based on the seasonal veg we'd bought. We lit a fire and set about roasting up the vegetables to make a smoky campfire soup.
Van esre borra,
Söröm is van, tudom is, ejtél eladó lányom is, vessék beszédálni.
kocsmáros néhajja, van ebbetet ágya.
Nem is van pár, nem is, néha kellek én magam is, vessék beszédálni.
So today we're going to meet Dori and her fiancé Adam, who we've been speaking to about coming to visit the Hortobagy National Park, and she's been amazing. She's arranged a whole weekend of stuff for us to experience, starting with a tour of a stud farm today, then following the festival at Hortobágyi tomorrow, and after that we'll be spending an evening with the shepherds cooking dinner and having fun. So got a lot to look forward to this weekend, and hopefully we'll get some really good photos and videos to share with you all. Jennifer.
Adam. Adam.
Lucy.
Adam.
Nice to meet you. The Matai stud farm has been running since 1671 and is home to 30 Csikos, the horse-mounted herdsmen who look after 270 horses in the interest of preserving the Nonius breed's genealogy. They are also responsible for breeding buffalo, ox, raka sheep and Hungarian grey cattle after the breed nearly died out altogether in the 1940s when the mechanisation of agriculture began. We boarded a cart where Adam was waiting for us. Joined by his wife Dori and their young son, we set out onto the plains for an insight into the work of the farm.
Kislányt ölelni, mint a birkát rühelni. Rózsalevele, rozé a babám neve.
The first livestock we encountered were the domestic buffalo, which was the first time we'd ever seen them for ourselves. The buffalo here are bred largely in the interest of preserving the genealogy as part of Hungary's cultural heritage, and their milk is also used to produce mozzarella. We learned that there were 29 private and over 400 state-owned buffalo here who are free to roam the plains. In the warmer months, they're kept outside where they can cool off in their own swimming pools, but in the winter they are brought into the stables to keep warm due to their inability to grow a winter coat.
Mint a vasakat verni, rózsalevele, Juli apa.
We passed a shepherd leading his cattle to the well. These creatures, with their impressively large curled horns, were Hungarian grey cattle, a resilient breed that played a significant part in Hungary's culture and economy over many centuries. They could walk from Hungary to markets as far away as Strasbourg and Vienna without losing any weight along the journey. However, the breed began to die out in the late 20th century due to the mechanisation of agriculture. These days they are bred to preserve the lineage, and Hungary now owns a stock of over 30,000 cattle.
Gyere ki az éjszi tarka rétre, ott tudál az öreg tudás dudájába, tudazódás minden este. Tudaszóra vigalját, fotos táncot a bojtár, a kis bojtár. Tudaszóra vigalját.
Once we were way out in the plains, we encountered a trio of horsemen in traditional dress, who gave us a demonstration with their horses.
Pirosodjon az orcád, ha én ezt a kisbort megiszom, föláll az én mérges kakasom, ha én ezt a...
Traditionally, the horses were trained to lie flat to avoid detection on the plains when the horsemen were being pursued by gendarmes. The cracking of the whips was designed to simulate gunfire, to train the horses to remain calm and still. We rode past another shepherd, this time herding his sheep. These weren't ordinary sheep, however, they were Hungarian Raka sheep, a breed exclusively found in Hungary, which have distinctly curled horns and a long curly coat. Like the buffalo, their milk is used to produce cheese, and at night they are kept in a traditional type of barn called a segenölő that has no walls and sits directly on its bottom. So we just got back from a tour of the plains and it was amazing. We were pulled around on a horse-drawn carriage the whole time. We got to see the traditional horsemen with their whips and the shepherds with the grey cattle, the long-haired sheep and some buffalo, which I've never seen before. So that was really cool. And it was so interesting to just learn about the culture and the traditions and the reasons why they do the things they do. So now we've just been invited by Dori and her fiancé to go and join them in the barn where they'll be cooking a traditional Hungarian dinner for us, vegetarian style. So it's going to be a lovely evening. We arrived at the barn as Dori and Adam began slicing potatoes and preparing the fire inside the vasalő, a traditional straw hut used by the horsemen to cook and socialise. As they were nearly finished preparing dinner, Adam's father returned from his day's work on the plains. Despite being tired from a day's herding, he was kind enough to take us for a ride on his horse.
Iszik a betyár a csapon,
He then showed us around the horsemen's living quarters inside the barn, explaining that each horseman would work and live on site for 1.5 days before taking 3 days rest. As the sun set and the sky darkened, Adam began cooking up a pot of schlambuts on the fire. A hearty stew of potato and homemade pasta that must be stirred 32 times, once for each tooth a man has, according to tradition.
So these schlambuts, just potato and pasta.
Mindjárt.
Jól is az olyan a
Jó.
masinának is, telefonnak a fénye. Csak sárgáját, és a szárazat tavak.
I put here and oh.
Then it was time to get the palinka out, a type of potent, homemade fruit brandy that Hungarian grandmothers proclaimed was the cure to any ailment.
Oh, 60%.
Oh!
Oh, it smells so good.
Talk about
I don't know if it's because I'm really, really drunk, but this tastes so good. I love Hungarian food.
We'd been invited to spend the night at Dori and Adam's beautiful home, which was typical of a rural Hungarian house in its layout, with a long single-storey building with a garden and farm at the rear. Here they reared their own pigs, kept chickens for eggs, grew vegetables, and of course kept a couple of horses. Inside, we admired the artefacts and heirlooms that decorated the rooms and proudly displayed the family's heritage of horsemen. After a delicious breakfast, we headed into town to attend one of the biggest events in the Hortobagy calendar, St. Demeter's Day. Demeter was the patron saint of the shepherds, who at this time of year, when the weather was growing colder, would move their sheep from the pastures into the barns for the winter. The festival was a display of their livestock, of the skills of the horsemen, folk dancing, traditional food, and a proud display of the culture and traditions of Hortobagy. We returned to the barn to say our goodbyes and to thank Dori and Adam for allowing us this unique insight into their lives and the culture and traditions of Hortobagy. We'd witnessed such a sharp contrast between the bustling markets of Budapest, in the modern, cosmopolitan capital of Hungary, to the Great Plains in the east so rich in culture. We experienced a new way to shop as part of a contemporary movement away from waste and single-use plastic, and we witnessed a profession steeped in tradition, with its very roots entwined in history, and the csikós whose love of animals runs deep in their blood, and the blood of their great-grandfathers too. Hungary has captured our hearts, and although we would soon be leaving for Romania, we would be yearning to return to this captivating land of contrasts again soon.